If you're currently researching saltwater aquariums before getting your first tank, the chances are you're consuming as much information as possible right now. And a large part of what I do on this channel is to help aspiring reef keepers understand the hobby before they get started. But today I'm going to shoot myself in the foot and tell you why you probably don't need to do any more research before you get stuck in and buy your first tank. So if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications before this video becomes successful and kills the entire channel. Now, I'm not saying you don't need to do research before you buy your first tank, and I'm not trying to encourage you to take shortcuts. In fact, reef keeping is the exact kind of hobby to punish shortcuts. But because the hobby still carries a mystical aura about it, it can feel like something you need to know inside and out before you take the plunge. And it makes sense that you won't make newbie mistakes if you've watched enough how to avoid beginner mistake videos, right? Well, the reality is that the economics principle of diminishing returns also applies to researching marine reef keeping. And once you've got your head around the basics of the hobby, understanding the minutiae won't really take you any further forward. As with most things in life, on-the-job learning is much more valuable than theoretical learning. Remember when you were 17 and your dad spent an entire weekend with you talking you through throttle and clutch control, only for you to stall the car at the first 25 attempts? Well, this is a lot like that. Before you start, all you really need to know are the basics, and I've made a video showing you how 20% of the knowledge will yield 80% of the results. Of the almost 200 videos I've made on this channel, that and my how to set up a saltwater aquarium video are the only ones I would say are compulsory before you get started. Beyond that, you can spend hours researching what order to add your fish in, or whether radions or kessels will give your corals better growth, and whether an expensive return pump is worth the money over a cheap and cheerful Jecod. But the reality is that none of that will make a noticeable difference to your first tank. Pretty much all of the available equipment in the hobby is more than capable of providing the right conditions for the beginner corals you're likely to keep. And a £400 powerhead won't make your pulsing Xenia look any better than a 50 quid Chinese powerhead, no matter how good the marketing bump makes it sound. And while you might be able to avoid 5 or 10 of the most obvious beginner mistakes, the hobby is a mistake minefield, and it won't have escaped your attention that BRS TV have made endless top 10 mistake videos recently. Only they're not top 10s, they're top 486s. But you shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes. They're inevitable in this hobby, and they are how you learn the ropes. There are a billion motivational quotes about success, and 99% of them talk about embracing failure. If the hobby isn't for you, you'll leave after 6 months regardless, and no amount of prior research or money will change that. But if you love it, I can promise you your first tank won't be your last. In fact, having set yourself a strict budget for your first tank, within a year you'll be looking for any other way to pay for a massive upgrade. Your first tank will feel so special and cool that you'll wish you started sooner, and I'm jealous that you get to experience that raw excitement for the first time. You'll see countless cool behaviours like pistol shrimp and gobies that will blow your mind. You'll see pulsing Xenia for the first time and it will blow your mind. And that experience goes on and on and on. I'm 7 years into the hobby and I still regularly see awesome things that I've never seen before. So don't worry too much about what tank, equipment or even fish you should get. Your first tank will be an endless stream of wonders, and even the most simple beginner friendly corals will blow your freaking mind. Researching a hobby, creating spreadsheets, watching videos and generally obsessing about it is all part of the fun. But if you think the foreplay is good, wait till you get to the fishy part. Getting your first tank is the absolute bomb. Even just a sandbed, some rock and some crystal clear saltwater looks absolutely bloody awesome. And you don't need to worry too much about whether or not you're ready to take the plunge. The chances are that if you're asking yourself that question, despite having done a ton of research, you already have the makings of a conscientious marine aquarist who will make a success of the hobby. So just get whatever tank and equipment you can afford, choose some beginner friendly fish that you think are cool, and have fun with it.